I'd like to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, though we are missing Norma today. She had shoulder surgery and is back home and doing well. So Shauna will be taking over for our secretary and fulfilling her first VP duties today. Okay, first off, do I hear a motion to approve the March 9th minutes? Noreen, do we have a second? And Mike. Okay. Just a couple of updates. The CR6 and the CR9 are now online. So if you're a teacher, and of course, if you get payment for teaching, you are required to have both the CR6 and the CR9 filled out. You can just go online and pull it up under membership, I believe is where it is. And that is a printable form, so if you want, you can just print it out, both of the forms, fill them out, and then just slip them in my folder at the front desk. That would be fine.
Lynn, it's W9.
Oh, sorry, CR6 and a W9, thank you. Okay, again, last year we had talked about possibly putting cameras in the club. And we kind of went back and forth and decided, well, we got the back fence done and it kind of got dropped. And we were in hopes that the rec center was going to be putting cameras all over. Well, that was just a rumor, apparently, because they are not going to do that. And I'd like to get your feedback on this, because we've had a lot of instances of things just disappearing, people's work disappearing, and I'm sure that it probably isn't intentional. Lots of times your work looks like somebody else's. Maybe they don't check the bottom of it. But there have been a couple of comments recently about perhaps using cameras. And the other item is just to also, for the monitor to be able to keep an eye on the back patio. It would be nice for them to have a little screen in the front desk rather than having to run back and forth to check things out. I know this is kind of out of the ordinary right now to be taking those kind of questions, but I really would like to open this up for comment. I do have the original quote that we got last year, and I'm sure with inflation that it's probably gone up, but I'd like to know what your opinions on cameras would be. You want to come?
I just have a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, because we have Ring cameras all around our house, I'm familiar with cameras. But now, are they gonna be recording? And if they are, something missing, someone's gonna sit there and go through days and days to look for them? I'm used to Ring, so I don't know.
No, there would be recording capability, and it's not just for that, it's just, it's safety, it's, you know, for missing items, it's, you know, whatever it may be, but we will have the record capability. But first off, if it's a missing item, we can usually pinpoint when it was gone.
Okay.
For example, we had a tear bowl that was missing, and the person waited a long time for it to come out, but we could track with the kiln. The kiln person remembered putting it out on the shelf with the pieces. The very next morning, the person came in to get their stuff, and all that was there were the pieces. The bowl itself was gone. But, I mean, that is one thing that it would help, is for us to be able to go, okay, that was Monday morning. Did somebody accidentally pick up that bowl? If so, oh, hey, Susie, that bowl belongs to Betty, you know, whatever. Accidents happen, but it's also a good safety precaution, because as a club, in the club, we're kind of segmented. We have the Dickley studio, we have the hand building, the wheel, the back patio, and truly it's kind of hard for a monitor to keep tabs on all of that. So part of that situation, I was hopeful if we could put a monitor at the monitor's desk, then you have an eye on it. But I want feedback from you people, please.
Just a comment, as you know, I belong to Stained Glass at Palm Ridge, and they have a system there. You may wanna check to see what that's about. I don't know if they have a monitor, and you can see 4 different cameras, because we have 2 big rooms now, so we have one way, one the other. Monitor can look up, anybody can look up and see who's in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much that would help to say who stole what or who accidentally took something, you know, because you don't know. But if there was a wrong person going into a locker, don't know, our lockers were locked, so I don't know if things get stolen that way, but do they pay extra and how much they pay per month and who installed it? And can you look back? You may want to check and see what it looks like for that. Just
Okay, thank you.
so you know where to.
Thank you. Again, I want to say this is not all about missing items. This is a lot about safety and being able to know that if Betty Lou fell over while she was back sanding on the patio and it's 100 degrees outside and nobody realized it for an hour as she's sitting out there baking, it's kind of a good safety thing to have.
I have a problem with having them in the club. I don't mind having them outside for security on the patio, but it just seems like that's such a huge invasion of privacy. I have a big problem with that. So,
Okay.
outside, okay, for security, but not in the club.
Okay?
That was my comment as well.
Okay.
I actually have no problems with privacy, so, that's my comment. I think that one of the major things is deterrent. And just the fact that the cameras are there, if we publicize it well, that hopefully light-fingered people will be more cognizant and not be light-fingered. So I think that's one thing. I know, and I agree that the safety probably is the bigger rationale.
Thank you. Again, one thing I observed this last week was people coming into the club that are not members. And there was one person in particular, twice, who wandered in and started looking at the shelves. And then I was told, oh, well, I'm just a guest. I said, okay, so where's your member that you're a guest with? Well, I don't know if she's here yet, or I don't know if she's here. Well, she did find the member, and I had her go back and sign in as a guest. But we have people who are filtering in, and keep in mind, we have 350 or nearly 350 people in this club. It is not likely that we're all going to know everybody. And if we have people wandering in and kind of fitting right in, you know, that's just another thing that we all need to kind of keep our eye on.
You know, we're all guilty of not marking our things. And we could make it a requirement that the kiln people don't take anything that is not identified. It doesn't have initials on the bottom or something.
That's true, but that puts a lot of extra work on the kiln people. I think they've kind of got their hands full, and to have to check to see, I mean, if you look at some of the things like on the shelves right now, you've got bazillions of flowers. A lot of people are making flowers, and there are these little tiny items for them to have to go and look at every single one of them, rather than putting the tray full of them in the kiln. Would be very labor intensive.
Even just the bigger things.
I think we would, yeah. I mean, it would be good, but it's our responsibility to put our initials or our name on our items, please.
A long time ago, we were gonna get cameras, maybe because so much of the clay was disappearing. Well, now that's been remedied by being behind the desk now, but I think maybe outside would be a good idea for security, but inside,
Yeah,
Things happen.
I get concerned about the heat and people being outside working right now, you know, that situation.
Last week when I was doing some other business, I just observed something and it was very innocent, but I wonder if maybe this could be a problem. Someone walked in and told the monitor that the person who had something coming out of the kiln had left town. And he was asked to pick something up. And could this be a problem? Where maybe someone would picked up the wrong thing? I overheard it and it wasn't my business, so I stayed out of it, but I just wonder, could it be that someone was asked, or maybe several people that had left town and just said, I couldn't pick it up, I'm not here, and he was their neighbor. So there you go, just a possibility.
I'm just gonna say, I observed something similar. And I said, you know, you're really not allowed to come in here without the member. What are you picking up? And then the person said, well, I can wait and have him pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm
I think he had
wondering.
a picture on his phone though.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I went up on, but I thought, gee, that's a little.
So we need to make it clear, I guess, that, and I will put something out in the Bud Times, that we are responsible for our guests, but your guests, because they're a guest, doesn't mean they can come in from now on and pick up their stuff or your stuff. You are responsible for paying for their firing, for picking up their firings. They don't get to have a free lunch ticket to come in and cruise.
I can just talk on. As far as the cameras, I'm okay with them in outside too, because it seems to me that's where the security problem was initially. And I don't know if we've had any steps since we've got the fence thing, but as far as the kiln pieces, that her company don't have a kiln people check. We're not the police, and we have a hard enough time getting everything loaded. You have 3 racks of high fire and low fire to load, so we cannot check every little single. I mean, we have a hard enough time just making sure there's not glaze on the bottom and stuff like that. But I think pretty much everybody knows we load Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and unload those same days. It's up to the individual to come in on those days. Sometimes, maybe your thing didn't get in on Monday, so it went on Wednesday. But I think it's up to the individual to come in and get their stuff and, mark it, number one, but be there on time. Because everybody knows we've got a shelf of stuff that's a month or so old. I'm always excited to come in and get my stuff, but, I think it goes on, responsibility. And I know sometimes people do pick up the wrong thing, but hopefully they'll notice and bring it back.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments regarding cameras?
Yeah, I'll give you one. I actually don't think it'll solve your problem. It'll make us feel better possibly, but I still think that you're gonna have issues with the kiln pieces that are taken inadvertently by wrong people. From a safety standpoint, I don't know. If you're worried about people on the patio that have fallen down or something, somebody's gotta monitor that. So we're gonna have people that are monitoring these cameras. That's the double-edged sword, right? Somebody has to observe the videos. Who's that gonna be and when are they gonna do it? So I don't know. I wonder if it's practical. I think we should really be practical about whether or not this is really solving a problem or if we're just having a moment. And so my vote would be, if we were having issues on the patio, it might make sense there, but throughout the club, we're gonna have to have another board member that's in charge of the videos. I don't know.
Yeah, the thought was not really having to scan the video so much as just having the monitor watching the patio. It sounds to me that it's pretty clear. We'll take a vote here in just a bit about this, but this is definitely a club issue, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today, to get your feedback on it, and not just react.
Well,
Okay.
if they put outdoor cameras outdoor, they also would have to have those lights that come on, motion detector lights, so the cameras would be able to record, because at my business in Ohio, when we had theft at night, it happened at night, the cameras were on, but we couldn't see anything because it was dark.
Yeah, they would have to be motion detected and
I'm on a new learning monitor, but when I was trained, you know, you go clean, you go around, you don't just sit there and look at this, right? So what would that entail for monitors? It's all down, monitors all down.
no, you look up occasionally and check to see. And
But you can still leave your station and go do whatever you have to do.
right, but if this is something that you as a club are not concerned about, okay, then I feel the same way. So let's kind of take a vote. Who thinks that we should not bother with cameras? What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't really care.
So
I think
I
outside is a great idea.
I counted 20. What do we have here? How many people? 30? 30 some? Okay. So the majority was that we will not have cameras. What I'm going to ask you to do as a club is keep your eyes open for people who are wandering in, because it is happening and people are trying to pick up other people's stuff. We're not going to do that. They need to find another member in the club to pick their items up. So we'll kind of put a hard line on that after today. Merle?
Are these people scanning into the computer when they're coming in the club?
No, they're walking in and going right to the racks.
Well, what about the monitor?
Yeah, where's
The monitor, usually it's when the monitor is doing other stuff or what have you, or she turns around and they've walked on by and she will say, hey, you need to sign in, and that's when we find out that they say they're there to pick up for someone else. Yeah, but if there's several people shuffling around, you know, you don't know. And we all look the same, you know? I mean, really. What can I say? You know, it kind of fits that. Okay, so for right now, we're gonna put a kibosh on the cameras. We're not gonna go forward with the bid or any of that other stuff. We're gonna leave it be. In the future,
How about the outdoor cameras?
in the future, we just took a vote on no cameras.
Okay.
How much, did that defer all the stealing outside, you know, you put that fence, did that help a lot?
The fence has been very effective. We've lost nothing from the back patio since that fence has been up. So to me, the only concern is the safety concern in the back. So as monitor, you're gonna have to make sure that you check that back patio, keep your eyes peeled. If there are other concerns, we'll go forward with that.
So maybe as a kind of rule during the warm months, you kind of put the responsibility on the person going out to the back patio to work. If you just put a note out, if you're gonna go out there, let somebody know. Don't just go out there and hang out for a couple hours with nobody knows.
That's a great suggestion. Kind of a buddy system. Yeah. Let somebody know if you're gonna go out on the back patio and work. Just be reminded that it gets really hot back there and take some water. Any other comments? I'm seeing a couple of really sober looking faces out there. Okay? So we're good with not having cameras.
Can you put like a camera sign out on the back patio? You know, like, surveillance, you know, or a fake one?
Big camera.
Why not put some phony or?
But we don't have a problem on the back patio other than the concern of somebody.
I'm just concerned, like, if you're in there at night, you know, it's just kind of a little strange. Not being locked up.
hold on just a second. I want to hear what you have to say.
If you're working, in the club at night,
Someone's talking.
if you're working in the club at night, I'm a little concerned about, what goes on the back patio. And, there's strange people out there or, lurking around or, I think,
Yeah, they can. How can they get in? Aren't they, isn't it all open in the back?
it gets locked. It's always locked.
The gate is latched anyway and locked from the outside. The black rod is down. So that shouldn't be an issue, but also if you're monitoring at night and there are not many people in the club, you can go ahead and put that padlock on the gate. That's not a problem at all.
Or even lock the back door that comes from the back into the clay.
Right. Either way. Yeah, Mike.
Your best deterrent will be motion detector lights for after dark activity on the patio.
Well, that's a good idea.
So I'd recommend that if after dark activity on your patio, and we're not sure who it is or what they're up to, motion detector lights are cheap, they're easy to install, and that might be the best thing.
Right. But we are not having a theft problem on the patio.
Oh, I was just trying to follow up with the last.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My thought is if the monitor puts the lock on the gate,
Okay.
which they can't reach the lock anymore. You used to be able to reach over and pull it. You can't do that anymore. So it's secured as long as that gate is shut, and it should always be shut. Okay, we'll move on. I'm sure that if people have more questions, I will see their suggestions in our suggestion box, and I appreciate your input on this. Okay, the next item is regarding our kilns. We are going to be putting a retractable ribbon across the entry door that goes from the hand building studio into the kiln area. The kiln people get mobbed as they're unloading the kilns and trying to reload the kilns. It is causing problems for them. So that area will be blocked off as they're unloading and reloading. You can please just make it a point to come in a little later in the morning to pick your items up. Just letting you know in advance that way they can proceed with doing their job, unload, reload without people's arms reaching in and throwing extra things on the shelves and causing chaos with them. It's a pretty difficult job. I'm told it's like putting a puzzle together. You kind of check out your pieces and you put them in, and as other things are thrown in, it just kind of puts everything out of whack. So please just be respectful of them. They do a very important, very difficult job. So that will be coming, I believe, probably by next week.
And where are you gonna put it?
It's just just over the doorway, right by the kiln that separates the studio from the drying area and the kiln area.
Probably the other door.
The door will be opened by the monitor desk. It's the other door that will be blocked off. So you can go back and forth into the kitchen and stuff like that, but we're going to keep that aisle cleared for the kiln people. Yes, Linda?
Just another comment that's only pertinent probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, but, I've had several people say to me, with pot in hand, if I put this on the shelf today, it'll go in tomorrow and it'll come out Friday because I'm leaving. And I cannot guarantee that it'll go in tomorrow because there's a lot of stuff and maybe your piece won't make it. We used to have a sign up there that said, "Your failure to plan is not my emergency." They need to know that if it has to be out on Friday, they shouldn't wait till Wednesday to put it on the glaze shelf. So,
Agreed.
I try and say that as nice as possible. We'll try, but no guarantees.
Agreed. Yeah, always keep in mind that they're doing what they can do, and if there's only a half a kiln, they're not gonna run it. And it's gonna sit there. You may, like Linda said, throw your piece in there on Wednesday, expect it out on Friday. Well, guess what? If it wasn't a full load, they're not gonna run it, so it's not gonna get run till Friday and you get it on Monday. So we do have a regular schedule, but you gotta know that that's gonna vary depending on what they have to load, okay?
I think we discussed that.
So anyway, if you give them a few hours to do their job, unload, get everything going, that would be a really kind thing to do so that they can get their work done. And it'll be better for all of us. They can do their work quickly if we're out of their way. Okay, other than that, let's see, spray booth and training on the spray guns. Mike and Jill have done a great job putting together some training. We're gonna have a little meeting after this to discuss the final pieces of it that I didn't think about working out, like who's already been trained? Do they need brush up on the safety? What will the responsibilities be for the monitor? So we need to flush a few things out. Then you will see a training course, which would be really great if you've never taken a course on the spray booth. Mike is putting together a class, and he will show you the safety side of the class, as well as, I'm not sure if Jill will present the gun part, the spraying part, right?
That's the idea.
And then Jill will show you the proper procedure for spraying. The spray booth is now online reservations, so you can go in and say, okay, tomorrow I want to use the booth from 10 to 1. You can put in that time, you'll be reserved, so that if you come in to use the spray booth and someone else is there, it's your spray booth. Sorry, if you haven't made a reservation, you're getting bumped. That way, people who have been coming in to use it, it's been pretty disappointing, because sometimes you'll go in there and you'll get all your items together, and then by the time you walk outside, you see somebody's already there. Hopefully, it'll take care of some of that problem. So you'll be able to see online, does somebody have it reserved today? Oh good, I can go in at 3 o'clock instead. So that's the hope, that's the idea, and we'll have more details about the finalizing of how we're going to track and figure out who's been trained and who hasn't been trained. That's yet to come. So hopefully we'll have this all worked out within the next few days. Okay, and the DLS, reservations for DLS is also online now. So you can go in, get reservation, and for the Dickley studio, and you can select, oh, it's for a meeting, it's for a class, it's for whatever you want to put it in for. If it's available, the notice will go to Glora. If it's available, she will approve it, and you'll get notification that you have the studio, and then it will be put on the calendar. Okay? All right, sorry to be so long-winded today. Deb, treasurer report?
Okay, as of April 1st, 2023, we had $3,902.86 in the checking, $13,499.39 in the savings, and we have $50,000 invested in CDs. Our total right now is $67,402.25. As of this morning, the interest accrued on our CDs that were initiated on March 9th was $165.17. So I think that's good. They are 3-month CDs, so we'll be looking at reinvesting them again in June. The other news that I have is for all teachers, it's really great because all the classes are signed up for online, they've automated a system So when your class is done, you no longer have to chase down a board member to have a thing signed. You no longer have to fill out the form. It will automatically come to me telling me the students that were in your class, how much you charge for that class, and I will issue you a check. So one less step for our valuable teachers to have to go through just to get paid. So thanks to the IT committee for that.
Okay, Shauna.
So the first thing is I am giving a report for Betty Cool.
Oh,
Okay, and she wanted to make sure that everybody who participated in the Wednesday morning fun, she wanted to thank all the demonstrators and helpers who participated in that, and everybody who came and participated in the activity also. She also wants to put a call out for people who can do that for next season. She's gonna be taking, I guess, talking about it in the fall. And, oh, and she also would like to have somebody who would teach pinch pots. That would be one of the newer activities. So anybody who wants to volunteer, see Betty. And she couldn't be here because she had an appointment this morning. I don't think I really have any other updates. Social committee, did you want to come up and talk about that?
The picnic is next Thursday, the 20th. So if you haven't signed up, please do that as soon as possible. You have until, I think, Monday to do that. If you haven't made your horse yet, there are still some horse patterns, or make a horse however you'd like for the famous horse race. We have some ideas we're working on for summer, so that we will try at least every other month to have some type of a function. So just look forward to some exciting things this summer.
Thank you. I think that's all for me. Lori?
Donna, do you have anything, updates for lockers?
No, I'm pretty well caught up on lockers. We have another list growing, but some of the students are still in class. Some of them are just finishing up, so I'll just have to watch to see how enthusiastic they are in wanting to continue to get a locker. Otherwise they'll lose their locker. We don't want to take it away if we don't have to. But we have only top lockers left, and that would be it. So if anybody wants something in the middle, they're gonna have to get on my wait list.
Thank you. And for the members, we have 342 members right now. We have 22 distinguished members in our club. The monitoring is going very well, and thanks everybody for keeping up if there's openings and filling in. I've had a couple issues with people canceling a day or two before, and I do get an email and I reach out to find out the reason, but that's really late to try to fill the monitor position. We do the best we can, and everyone's been pretty good about filling in, but just keep in mind, it's a responsibility to the club to keep your time, and I know things come up, you get sick, you have unexpected company, so just keep that in mind. And let me know if it is a couple days before. I do get the email, but it'd be nice to get a phone call and say, hey, I'm sick, or whatever you need to do, so. And I think that's it, and that's with my second VP. I do have an appointment, so I may need to leave early, so thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Okay, and from the IT world, things are moving along, and we are trying to get the new member interest form actually online. So if somebody's interested in joining the club, rather than them having to come into the club, they still will have that option. But we will have it to where they can inquire online about it. And then we can get back with them and see what would work best, if they're gonna want to test in or if it would be a hand building. So with that, we'll be able to make notes when they're called and do the same steps that we do right now, except it will be available online so that it should be a little easier to manage than what it is right now with the manual spreadsheet. Okay. I think that's pretty much it, except for there's one other item, mud buckets. Some have noticed, some have not. It's relatively new. Sue Freeze was in the other day and her team were cleaning the mud buckets and drug me over and showed me what kind of weight they're dealing with. With the mud buckets on the wheels, they're very large. People, unfortunately, are scraping out the mud off of their bats and not putting that in the little muck buckets next to it. It's just filling up the tubs, and they've got a lot of weight to try and pour that stuff out and lift it out. That is why we're trialing the smaller buckets. There are 5 buckets there now, and they can be moved around. If you need it closer to yourself, you can pull it or push it, whichever you need to do. I understand they are smaller, and it'll take a little bit more effort to be cleaning in them, but the positive thing is that bats won't be left in the bottom as they have been, that they'll, you can still clean them up right. And I do want to know, again, if anybody has any feedback on that.
You know, those counters are so tall.
We can't hear you, Laura, hold on.
It's hard for people to lift and put stuff in things.
I'm sorry,
And those counters are so tall on that side. Is there any hope in the future of getting them lower to a normal counter height?
I don't know that that would happen. I think that that would be a huge expense in trying to do that, and we would have to pay for it. That was donated by the photography club, and we're pretty darn lucky to have the sink that we've got. It's a lot better than trying to work with the little sinks that we've got in the other area.
The little buckets, it's a little challenging to do the wheel, the treasury in there. It seems like it splashes all over, but it's doable, but I can see the point of not having it heavy, so. I don't know, it makes it a little harder to clean those up.
A little harder to manage and harder to clean. At the same thing, just at the same time, you gotta put yourself in their place of they're lifting those things out all the time.
Do you run the risk of it going in the sink though instead of the bucket?
It kind
I'm not sure.
I
We'll
noticed
have
that
to-
in the back in the Dickley studio here about a week ago, there was a lot of clay, wet clay, in the sink, not in the bucket.
it goes everywhere when you're trying to do the.
And you have the bigger, you have a medium-sized trays there too.
I don't know, it seemed smaller to me the other day.
Is it, I wonder if it
But
needs
it
to be
wasn't,
pulled closer.
I'm just saying, it wasn't beginning hand building, because they don't have a lot of slop, it's all hand built stuff. But this was like somebody had cleaned out a wheel, and there was clay, wet, or watered down clay in the sink, not in the bucket.
I
That's,
clean the buckets,
that's,
they should clean
that's
their
part
own.
of that.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, if the bucket is smaller, it should clean it up, but that's not always obviously happening.
Just to let you know, we have kept the old buckets too. We're trialing it. It would be really nice to help our people who are doing the mud buckets if this can work. So I don't know if it'll just be us getting used to having the smaller bucket, pulling it closer to yourself while you're cleaning. If it's a flop, let us know it's a flop. And, nothing is cast in stone.
Okay, I just want to comment on the mud buckets in the classroom, since I'm a beginning wheel teacher. I do know that there were some guests in there when I was not having a class, and maybe we should put a sign up that says something about do not, because I teach them in my classes not to do that.
Yeah, I know that.
So, but I don't know but we did have visitors in there.
Well, and there are other people that use the wheels back
There
there that
are.
aren't students,
Who aren't
they just
students,
use,
yeah.
so, but I just
We put a
noticed
sign.
it, which I thought, that was kind of bizarre that there was that much, what I thought was
Yeah,
clay
My class
going
did
down
it
the
too.
sink drain versus the bucket area.
again, you know, as a club and as members, we've got to remember to clean up after ourselves. I think most of us are really good. I know it's a problem when new people come in. We always, what do we retain about 20% of what we learn, they say, but they need to be reminded sometimes. Also, kind of keep your eyes open. We've had a few of the newbies, and I know they're trained because I've watched them be trained, that have had some problems with the rollers. There were 3 incidents that I observed from last week through this week where big clump of clay, rather than beating it down, they tried to push it through the roller. So that happened 3 different times, and different members had jumped up and said, hey, wait a minute, don't do that. And you know, then explain, not getting mad at you, I just want you to know that you're gonna break it if you do that.
Can a guest use the rollers or a wheel? I thought you had to be qualified on these to do that. How can a guest do that?
That's a good question. I don't know that I've ever seen a guest use the wheel. I haven't seen that happen. I know that there were some guests back there hand building things, and that could be.
But we also have members who have not taken the wheel class who are using the wheel. And they're using it incorrectly, because I've talked to a few of them, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to clean up. I mean, it used to be you had to pass the class. You had to finish the class successfully to use the wheel.
We don't have anything noted anywhere in any bylaws, in any rules and regulations that says a member can't use the wheel. Now, if somebody were to ask, I'd say I would sure hope that you have somebody who is like an instructor or very qualified to do it, because you do need to know everything from laying out your paper at square one to how to use the wheel and not break it, and how to clean up afterwards.
So if we don't have that, why don't we instigate something like that and say you cannot use a wheel? Those wheels are expensive. That equipment's expensive. And maybe you should, if you're a member and you feel you know all about a wheel, get, you know,
Do a test
do a test in. But it seems like you should not be allowed to use a wheel unless you have been qualified on it. And if we don't have it, let's.
Yeah, and here's the piece that creates most of the problem. First of all, I don't know that we've ever had a wheel broken from somebody using the wheel. But what the problem is cleanup. Every one of us knows how to clean up. But, you know, if there is a problem where, for example, let's say Linda has a new student and she goes out, she's graduated and she's done a good job, and she can go out and use that wheel. But if that new student is grabbing somebody else from the club and saying, okay, now I'm gonna teach you how to use the wheel, that's really not a good idea. So, you know, that is a possibility that maybe we should put some guidelines around that. As of today, there is nothing. And I've looked back and there is nothing in the past. So I would say if you feel strongly about that, put together something. And we can sure take a look at it and see if that would be possibly a process that we should consider. I do know that over at Sun City, there are no regulations there. Once you take a beginning hand building class there, you're allowed to use whatever is in the studio. So that is a good idea. You know, if you want to maybe get a little committee together and put forward something on that line, I welcome it, absolutely.
We've had a lot of, the past
gears and stuff, members that bring in guests that know what to do on the wheel. They've been in school or whatever, and that's always been allowed. But if you haven't had any training, and no, you weren't allowed on the wheel unless you took a class.
But how do you know that? So that's that fine line of,
I guess
you know, how you can put it. Yeah, we're all at our own.
Well, I took the GR form class from Debbie and a couple of people, and it required using the wheel to make plates.
Oh, right.
And, you know, Lori Bunn's made a ton of plates using the GR form. But it requires using the wheel, but you're not throwing. You're just laying the clay down on the form and trimming it. No, nothing goes down in the bucket really. But it's on the wheel.
So, okay, I think that's bigger than what we're gonna solve today. I would love to have you guys put some ideas together, and then we can take it to education and throw it by Linda and a few people and go from there. Any other questions or comments?
I'll just yell. I'm just wondering, you know, I know when we, after the first of the year, you know, the monitor was turned around, like when we scan our card. Is there any reason why we can't punch our own, like Clay Club? Why the monitor has to, because sometimes they've stepped away or whatever.
Yeah, the reason that we're doing that is the rec center had some problems where with entry, not just our club, across the board apparently, with people getting entry and not paying their rec center dues. So it is the monitor's job to take a look and say, okay, that came through fine, tag it through. If you're the only one up there, reach around and tag it. But it is the monitor's responsibility to make sure that that person is part of the rec center, or is paid through the rec center. If it comes up that they're not, and they have a receipt and say, I just paid, that's fine. Then they get to come in. But apparently it's been a problem in the past, and that's why it has turned around. Anything else? Okay, we're gonna draw some numbers. I guess I better get the list, huh?
Number 23 is Odette Johnson.
Odette.
That happened last time too.
All right, we're gonna have to pull your number, yeah. Number four is Lori Bunn, who just left, so.
You know what, let's bypass the board.
Yes, bypass the board.
She doesn't get it. Number 5.
Number 5 is Mark Scuderi. All right. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, if we don't have any other comments, I'd like to, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I move. Meeting adjourned.